Thank you. Maybe we'll start with three worms because there is no presentation now. Therefore,
Yeah.
we can start with you can start with three worms and then continue. Okay, maybe we'll
Okay.
start with
Om. 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 Sairam. Today, for the beginning of 2021, I believe Brother Tamesh wanted to have some meaningful changes done in terms of taking care of our bodies. And he requested if I could share a few yoga concepts that Swami has talked about. And, any of those vyayamas or exercises that I've been incorporating, if I could share that also. So the basic precept of yoga is that you are trying to get connected with the divine. That is really what yoga is. Contrary to public opinion that it is a set of exercises for flexibility or whatnot. It is actually a very spiritual practice. And typically, a yoga practice can be a half-hour practice or an hour-long practice, and based on your time convenience, you basically pick the arrangement that suits you best. But typically, what it starts out is with um, chanting the Shanti mantra, and then moving forward and um, going through a series of steps. The first step is basically using Sukshma Vyayama, which is also called the Shitalikarana Vyayama. They are loosening exercises akin to calisthenics. And then you move on to the sun salutations. And following that, you practice different kinds of asanas. And it culminates in a short prayer or meditation type setting with some pranayamas as well. So basically, the idea is to integrate the mind body spirit connection, and the whole idea of yoga is communion with the divine. So I'm going to start out um, basically with a Shanti mantra, a quick Shanti mantra, and then we will go through the Sukshma Vyayamas and the subtle exercises would basically target your ankles, knees, hips, waist, chest, arms, neck, and spine. And then we proceed on to sun salutations and the steps that I actually mentioned. So if you can put your hands together, I'm going to chant a short mantra and give you an explanation as well. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So may he protect us all. May he nourish us all. May we love each other. May we learn from one another. That is really the meaning of this Shanti mantra. So to start out with the Sukshma Vyayamas or the Shitalikarana Vyayamas, I'm going to start out with the ankles. So if you are with your feet together and breathe in and stand on your toes and raise your arms up, breathe out and come down. Breathe in and stand on your toes. Breathe out and come down. Breathe in, stand on your toes. Breathe out and come down. So the idea is to make your ankles a little more limber and stronger in the process. For your knees, what you need to do is keep your hands to the sides. And then as you breathe out, you need to go down with your hands to the sides, like that. Breathe in, come up, breathe out, go down, breathe in, come up, breathe out, go down, breathe in, and come up. That's for your knees. For your hips, I'm going to do a slight modification. And you can do a Pada Sanchalan, but what I'm going to do is a modified version to release your hips a little bit. So this is part of an asana called the Trikonasana or the triangle pose. So what I do is as I breathe out, my hands go to the sides and try and touch my heel, and my other hand goes up, and I try to look through my fingers. And what I'm going to try and do is tell you the basic precepts of yoga is avoid eating anything heavy at least a half hour prior. Avoid caffeinated or carbonated beverages at least a half hour prior. And you definitely want to um, um, pay attention that the body is a raft that is going to be used to commune with the divine. So that is the idea behind it. The idea is it is a spiritual practice, and always listen to your body. And if your body is able to go only this far while you're bending, it is okay. As you go past multiple weeks, your abilities would actually improve as you continue your practice. So as you breathe out, go down, touch your heel and look through your fingers up there, and then come up. This will release your hips, and try the other side, and then come up. Try it the other way. Breathe in, come up, breathe out, breathe in, come up. If you're able to sustain for a longer period of time, you can chant Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. You can count and increase the number of counts as you go along. And that way you're not really focused on, how much stretching you're doing, but you're actually concentrating on God in the process. And that is for releasing your hips. For your waist, what you're doing is putting your feet together, hands above, and as you go backwards, try and breathe in. And as you come down, breathe out and try and touch your toes. And always listen to your body. If you're not able to touch your toes all the way, it is okay. If you're able to reach up to your knees, it's fine. Try and go as progressively as possible, as slowly as possible without hurting yourself. Breathe in, breathe out, touch your toes. Breathe in, bend backwards, breathe out, touch your toes. That's for your waist. Now for your chest, to expand your chest, you interlock your fingers and pull and physically expand your rib cage. And then you try and breathe in as much as you can and expand with a maximum vital capacity by inhaling as much air as you can. Continue pulling as you go. Let go and then breathe out. Try again. Pull, breathe in. Let go, breathe out. Pull, breathe in. Let go, breathe out. That's for your chest. For your arms, you're going to interlock your fingers, stretch out, Get your arms past your head. Breathe in as you do that. Breathe out and come down. Try again. Stretch. Breathe in. Breathe out. Stretch. Breathe in. Breathe out. So that's for your arms. That is one variation for your arms. The other one is to try and take your arm and go almost in a bowling motion and improve your range of motion by trying to touch your ear as you go in circles. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Try the other hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Both hands together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's for your arm. For your neck, chin goes down to your chest, and then you rotate your neck slowly in complete circles. 1, 2, 3. And then try and go the other way around. 1, 2, 3. So we basically did ankles, knees, hips, waist, chest, arms, and neck so far. So that would basically be a good way to start um, the practice of touching virtually on multiple parts of your body and loosening them up. So these are called sukshma vyayamas or subtle exercises. So the next part about this is the sun salutations. And the idea again is that you're communing with the divine in the process. So Swami, in multiple discourses, he has given a very clear idea about the importance of gratitude towards God. And he says that in Prashnottar Vahini, he says, you need to try and chant Om Kritagna Ganyaya Namaha, basically offering your gratitude to Bhagwan, basically saying that you are thankful for all the gifts that he endows you. And the idea is that if you don't do so, then he will withdraw his grace from you. And the first area where his grace will be, the withdrawal of his grace will be affected, will be in the area of your eyes. So that is really what Swami has actually said in his discourses. And if you read through multiple discourses, he would also say that there are specific mudras that can be used, and then there are specific chants that you need to chant while you're doing your Surya Namaskar. And typically, when you do the Surya Namaskar, there it is a fairly complex set of um, there is a complex set of steps in the process. You can have a 10-step Surya Namaskar or a 12-step Surya Namaskar, but typically, mostly what you involve with is the chanting of the Omkar, the chanting of the Bijakshara, the name of the sun god, and the associated meaning. And while you try and do that, you're supposed to concentrate on the movement as well, and you're supposed to concentrate on the breathing part as well. So, for all practical purposes, we will just go with just the simple chanting of the names of God and the associated meanings and the necessary steps. And then I will let you all know about some of the names of the sun god that have actually shown up in Swami's discourses as well. So the first part is to get your hands together and get your hands all the way up. Om Hram Mitraya Namaha. God is your true friend, Mitra. Now try and touch your toes. Om Hrim Rabaye Namaha. God is praised by all. Your left leg is in between your two arms. Your right leg goes behind. Knees are above the ground. Arch your back, look up. Om Hrum Suryaya Namaha. The sun stimulates everything. Surya. Om Hrim Bhanave Namaha. Make a triangle. Bhanu. Yeah. Giver of luster and beauty. And now go onto your knees, sit on your heel, and head to the ground. Om Hram Khagaya Namaha, stimulator of the senses. Come down on the floor. Om Hra Pushne Namaha, nourisher. Raise your upper body. Om Hram Hiranyagarbhaya Namaha, giver of energy and vitality. Make a triangle again. Om Hrim Marichaye Namaha, remover of diseases. Sit on your heel, hands forward, head to the ground. Om Hrum Adityaya Namaha, the one who attracts. Right leg in between your two hands, left leg behind, arch your back, look up. Om Hrim Savitre Namaha, begetter. Hands to the side. Om Hrum Arkaya Namaha, the one who is worshipped by the millions. Om Hra Bhaskaraya Namaha, the one who stimulates your intellect. Jnana Bhaskara, the one who stimulates your knowledge and your intellect. So this is supposed to be done like 12 rounds. So for all practical purposes, because of time variations, I will go through a couple more times, and then the idea is if you are able to do 12 in a row, that is fantastic. If you want to break it up and do a few asanas and then come back, like three rounds of Surya Namaskar, do a few standing asanas, come back again, do 3 more rounds of Surya Namaskar, do some sitting asanas, come back, with 3 more rounds, and then do. That is another way to go about it to get started. So, Om Hram Mitraya Namaha. Om Hrim Rabhaye Namaha. Touch your toes, left leg in between your two hands, right leg behind, knees above the ground. Om Hrum Suryaya Namaha. Om Hrim Bhanave Namaha. Om Hram Khagaya Namaha. Om Hra Pushne Namaha. Om Hram Hiranyagarbhaya Namaha. Om Hrim Marichaye Namaha. Om Hrum Adityaya Namaha. Om Hrim Savitre Namaha. Om Hrum Arkaya Namaha. Om Hra Bhaskaraya Namaha. So the idea is to remember the names of God, remember the routine of the steps, and there is another layer to it, is the breathing part of it. So when you breathe in, Om Hram Mitraya Nama, you're breathing in, you're breathing out the next step. So it is a lot of the breathing in and breathing out alternation, except a couple of points where you have, there are 2 parts where you call them as Antarya Kumbhaka and Bahya Kumbhaka, which means you're actually holding your breath internally. And then when you don't have any breath within your body, you are basically having the holding of breath happen as well. So there are 2 parts which we will not discuss today, but maybe as we progress we could. So I'll let you know. So the names that Swami has brought out in some of his discourses is Om Kritagna Ganyaya Namaha, grateful to the Creator. Then he has Om Hridaya Prakashaya Namaha. Hridaya Prakasha, God is the one who illuminates your heart. Then Om Netra Prakashaya Namaha, the one who eliminates your eyes. Om Akashaya Namaha. God is like the sky, the sky that is permeating in all the parts, in all the upadhis in the body, or all the bodies that are actually there in all forms of creation within the universe. So there are names that Bhagavan has actually used for you to be in connection with him, or to be in connection with yourself, because Swami says that you're God. So you are definitely in that realm. Are you able to hear me? So what I will go forward and do is, I will try and go forward with a few asanas, and these asanas are basically um, postures that help you conserve energies. With a successful yoga practice, you are always going to be refreshed at the end of the practice and not tired. So if you're feeling tired at the end of a yoga session, you know that you're doing something wrong. Always keep that in mind. So yoga practice always keeps you refreshed in the process. And so I'm going to do a few standing asanas. And the first asana, the technical name is called Uttishta Lolasana, and it can also be in honor of Ganesha. So it is by putting your legs apart a couple of feet, and then getting your hands all the way to the back, breathing out and going past your feet, touching the ground, and like the trunk of an elephant, the blessings of Ganesha are on you. Swami talks about Atma Puja, so this is the blessings of Ganesha coming all the way onto you. The other technical name for it is called Uttishta Lolasana. It is also called a baby's cradle pose. So you are basically swinging the baby like a cradle. Yeah. So that is one that can be alternately used as an elephant pose, to remember God Ganesha as we go forward. There is, in a lot of South Indian temples, you can actually see people holding their ears, um, and going, back and forth. And there is a story behind it. The story is of Gajamukhasura, and the story is that Gajamukasura was a very arrogant Rakshasa, and so Ganesha was sought out to counter him. And so, in the fight that ensued, one story goes this way: that the tusk of Ganesha was broken, and he hurled it at Gajamukasura, and Gajamukasura turned himself into a mouse, and Ganesha went and sat on it and subdued him. And the original Gajamukasura, he, because of Shiva's boon, he used to torment the devas to the point that they had to go through a rigorous physical routine. And so Gajamukasura said, I repent. After Ganesha had won the battle, and the devas still wanted to propitiate Ganesha, and Ganesha said, if you end up doing just a fraction of what you used to do for this Rakshasa, in honor of me, that would suffice. So this is part of the super brain yoga, and it's got the theory is that you're establishing the ipsilateral and contralateral connections to the brain. So you hold your ears in opposite directions, and as you go down, you breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. You can think of the names of Ganesha and basically try and do the super brain yoga as well. So that is one of it. And I can think of another standing asana in honor of Krishna, and it is called Natvarasana. So Natvarasana is basically going to help you with balance and concentration. So what you do is while you're standing, try and take your other foot and stand with your foot actually touching the side of your leg. And as you hold on to the murli or the flute, if you're not paying too much attention to your body once you actually get in the initial pose, more likely than not, you can hold the pose if you're actually thinking about God. So try and sing a simple Krishna bhajan, whichever comes to your mind. Govinda Madhava Gopala Keshava Jayananda Mukunda Nanda Govinda Radhe Gopala Giridhari Giridhari Jaya Radhe Gopala Ghanshyam Shyam Shyam Jai Jai Sai Gopala Jayananda Mukunda Nanda Govinda Radhe Gopala Govinda Madhava Gopala Keshava. So when you're thinking about the song and thinking about God as you go along, your mind is taken away from, hey, am I holding this pose appropriately or not? And you're still successful in maintaining that balance. Now try and reverse it on that side and still sing another bhajan. Krishna Krishna Govinda Krishna Gopala Bala Krishna Nanda Nandana Bhakta Chandana Gana Lola Krishna 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 Govinda Krishna Gopala Bala Krishna Sundara Vadana Sarojanayana Radha Priya Krishna Yadava Krishna Yashoda Krishna Satyasai Krishna Yadava Krishna Yashoda Krishna Satyasai Krishna 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 Govinda Krishna Gopala Bala Krishna. So you're still maintaining the balance and coordination as you practice this Natvarasana in honor of Krishna. So the idea is to commune with the divine, and if you can establish this 30-minute practice to begin with, that would be phenomenal. And there are many other asanas and mudras. Mudras are basically um, one that delights the devas. They are specific postures. And, while you actually take part in a meditative practice, the assumption of a mudra is actually highly beneficial because you're honoring the specific deity as well. So I'm just going to do one last sitting asana just to show you a couple of mudras as well. Uh, so the idea is to get one leg against the perineum and the other leg up. And since Shivaratri might be coming up soon, I'm just going to show you a Linga Mudra. Linga Mudra is very helpful in the cold climate. You want to do this for about 5 or 15 minutes max at a time, maybe twice a day. So sit up as straight as possible, interlock your fingers. The left thumb is up like a Shivalinga, and your hands are together, clenched like a fist. The idea is that, for asthmatics, people with coughs, colds, fevers, generally, if you're of a constitution where you have a lot of phlegm, Linga Mudra generates body heat. So you can think of Shiva while you hold this the pose and chant Om Namah Shivaya in your own mind. And if you're able to sit for a reasonable period of time that is possible by you, then that would be fantastic. So that is the Linga Mudra. You can assume many other mudras, and one other that can be useful for meditative purposes is the Brahma Mudra. So you have your thumb in between your fingers, and then you get your hands together that way. And Brahma Mudra is basically you're moving away from Chin Mudra, Chinmaya Mudra, Adi Mudra, Brahma Mudra. Brahma Mudra, Chin Mudra will basically help you with abdominal breathing, thoracic breathing, clavicular breathing, and Brahma Mudra is coordinating all the three of them. So you're actually breathing the way you're supposed to in complete coordination. So you can always think about God while you are in Brahma Mudra as well. I think we are running almost out of time. So we will do this at least once a month if there is time, if time permits, and if it is necessary. And thank you to all of you for being so patient. Saira.
Sairam, Mohan, thank you very much. Um, we hope to have few more, every month uh, to start with. Thank you, Sairam.
Saira.
We'll continue with the study circle. Um,
Sarah Mukha, just give me 2 minutes. I'm just trying to share the screen. Uh,
Sai Ram, everyone. There is a technical difficulty we are working on. Please bear with us. Sai Ram.
இன்னும் கேக்குது சத்தம் கேட்டு
Hello? Yeah, hello?
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 We could
Yes,
hear
Sister
you.
Aishwarya, we can hear you.
Sai Ram, Aishwarya, we are able to see the presentation, and you can unmute and present.
Yeah, Uncle, just 1 second. I'll just start the.
Thank you.
One. This is open up. How do I open? Stop sharing. All right. I apologize for the technical difficulty with able to open the file, but I'll start right away. Um, okay. So be spiritually wise, without ego, without desires, with equal love for all. Now, the spiritually wise will have no trace of hatred in them. They will love all beings and they won't be contaminated by the ego. They'll act as they speak. The ignorant will identify themselves with the gross body, senses, and mind, things that are but tools and instruments. And so the eternal Atma is behind the mind. And this mistake of the ignorant plunges them into trouble, loss, and misery. All the names and forms that fill up this universe and constitute its nature are but creations of mind. So, in order to perceive the truth, the mind has to be controlled and its wayward fancies calmed. The ever flickering waves of the lake have to be stilled so that you can see the flow clearly, right? So, the waves of ignorance that ruffle the mind have to be stilled. Turn your thoughts away from them and direct the thoughts toward permanent bliss, which is derivable from the knowledge of divinity. Keep before the mind's eye the faults and failures of sensory pleasures and worldly happiness. Thus, you will be helped to grow in discrimination and non attachment and to make spiritual progress. Just as gold melted in a crucible gets rid of dross and shines in its pristine glory, so too one has to be melted in the crucible of yoga by the fire of detachment. For those capable of self control along these lines, the native power will gradually assert itself, and the reality that is now misunderstood will be rid of that fog. Patiently cultivate the habit of meditating on your Atma and see the particular as the universal. Keep the mind away from low desires that run after fleeting pleasures. When knowledge of the Atma arises, ignorance with its brood of worry and misery will vanish. The mark of spiritually wise is the absence of egotism, extinction of desire, feeling of equal love for all without any distinction. And these are the fundamentals of knowledge of self realization. The springs of egotism arise from ignorance of this basic truth. Uh, Before moving to the next slide, can anyone shed some light on this? If anyone is willing to talk. All right.
Yeah, I'll jump in
Yeah,
because
sure. Please go ahead.
yeah, basically, if you tell the substratum is the unchanged basis of everything, the Vedas, the Upanishads are the one that says the truth, the reality picture. But desires have to be not totally, you cannot take away desire, because the Rig Veda says that you have to live in the world. Only when you live in the world and be out of it in your mental framework, that is when you are not going through the generations of pain, pleasure, and all those dualities. So the desires is desire for the one who takes you away from all desires, means the desires of the world. The worldly objective world is what should not desire. And then desire for the permanent element in you, or reside on the permanent element in you, so that you are not disturbed by the changing world. That is all it says. It doesn't say no, don't have any desires, because all the Rigvadas says you do this to have progeny, you do this to wealth should be added in a decent way. You cannot cheat somebody. If it does harm to anybody in creation, then you don't do that act. All acts are permitted by dharma. So
Right.
I'm done. Sairam.
If anyone else has anything to say. All right. I'll just move on to the next slide then. The Lord's eyes, ears, hands, and feet are everywhere. The Supreme Self can see without eyes, hear without ears, speak without the tongue, smell without nose, touch without the body, walk without legs, and experience without even the mind. You have no understanding of this truth, so we are drowned in ignorance. We feel that we are only the senses. We experience misery. The five senses are bound up with the mind. The mind separately activates the senses and is affected by their reactions. People read through the mind associated with the eye, and so they fail. But spiritually wise have the divine eye, for they have the divine vision, and they can see and hear without the aid of senses. As said in the Gita, the Lord's feet are everywhere, the Lord's hands are everywhere, his eyes, his ears are everywhere. So he sees all and he does all. Devoid of senses, he makes all senses function. To grasp this mystery, the path of spiritual wisdom or jnana has to be trodden. This path is very helpful. When people develop into full wise persons or jnanis, they themselves become it. It merges in them and both become indistinguishable. Then they realize that they are inscrutable, the indefinable Brahman, not limited by superimposition of name and form and illusions. When fire burns, its light can be discerned from a distance, but those who are far can't hope to feel its warmth. So, too, it is easy to describe the splendor of knowledge for people who are far from acquiring it. But only those who have actually neared it and felt it are immersed in it and can experience the warmth, the joy, the melting away of illusion. And this continuous concentrated spiritual exercise and continuous meditation on God are needed. The pure essence can be known by spiritual discipline of devotion, and in fact, the goal of devotion is indeed spiritual wisdom. Sairam, does anyone have any thoughts? All right, I'll just move on to the next slide then. The world is the Lord's three-act play. The Lord is in every heart, in the subtle as well as the gross forms. When an author writes a play, the entire play will already be in their mind before setting pen to paper. Act after act and scene after scene, with no picture of the entire drama in their mind, the author will never entertain the idea of writing it at all. But take the case of the audience. They grasp the story only after the drama is fully over and it unfolds itself scene by scene. And once they have understood the theme, they too can confidently describe to others the purpose of the play. Similarly, for the Lord, this drama of time in three acts, the past, present, and future, is clear as crystal. In the twinkling of an eye, he grasps all three because he is omniscient and it is his plan that is being worked out, his drama that is being enacted on the stage of creation. Both the actors and spectators are lost in confusion, unable to get the meaning and its development. For how can one scene or one act reveal its meaning? The entire play has to be gone through for the story to reveal itself. Without a clear understanding of the play in which people are acting their roles, they make the mistake that they are souls or spiritual aspirants and waste away their lives beaten by waves of joy and sorrow. When the mystery is cleared and the play is discovered as a mere play, the conviction dawns that you are he and he is you. Therefore, try to know the truth behind life, search for the fundamental, and bravely pursue the underlying reality. Seekers of wisdom must always be conscious of this. The spiritually wise, who have had a vision of the Atma presiding over the inner stage, will never be affected by sorrow. It can never hold sway over them. The Atma is in the ant and the elephant, in the atom and the atmosphere, and everything is saturated with it. Make God your constant focus. Seekers must divert their attention inward from the exterior world and they must discover the origins of the agitations of mind. This process will diminish and destroy the activities of mind, which makes them doubt, discuss, and decide. And from that stage, the exhilaration of being Brahmin will be constant. This will stabilize the bliss of being aware that arises from their experience. The spiritually wise can never be affected by joy or sorrow, however big. They will be immersed in the ocean of Atmic bliss, and they are blissfully unaware of the world around, far above and beyond its coils. This is the discipline called the practice of Brahman, that is to say, the ever present exercise of remembering the basic Brahman of universe, praying to the formal aspect of that Brahman, speaking of his glory and being in his company, and living always in his presence. This is the lesson that is taught in the Gita by Krishna. It says that they fix the mind on me, they survive only because they breathe me, they inform each other about me, they talk only of me, they are happy and content with peace. This ceaseless thought of the Lord is also referred to as reflection on Brahman or cultivation of spiritual wisdom or the Atma.
What?
Yeah, Andy, go.
No, I just want to ask you then, what do we understand that he is in the smallest to the biggest, and yet you live in the world and be out of it? So, if you internalize, what does anybody want to see internally? You might like to explain. Means the very word Brahman means ever expanding, ever expanding consciousness. If you are consciousness, so ever expanding consciousness. So are we not conscious of the world? If you are going to outside things that are given by the senses, what you do is you only know the partial truth. You know the partial truth. You don't see the whole truth. So once you go inside, what is it that a person has to look within to know they have reached the stage? Can you answer that, please? Hello.
I'm not so sure, but if anyone else can shed some light.
Maitri. I thought when we talk about Brahman, we are talking about Atma, the self. Uh, so, isn't that what we are?
No, when do you realize that you are the Atma and everything else is not? How does one in a Brahman state? How would a person know that he is in a Brahman state? Everybody asks this question. Oh, Brahman. Nothing happens in Brahman. There is no objects. There is a objectless awareness, and no activities happen in the self. So all activities happen in the world. So the unreal has no existence, and the real is never ceases to be. That is Brahman, because it is bigger than it says in that last para that it is smaller than the smallest and the bigger than the biggest. So like elephant and the ant. So why elephant and the ant? Why do we say he is there in the ant and the elephant? One has to find out why.
So when one knows that he's Brahman, when he's not affected by any sort of illusion, joy, sorrow, or
That
desire.
is fine, but a person is watching an ant. Suppose would he, if an ant crawls onto him, would he beat the ant or not? Calling himself Brahman, would he be kill the ant or not kill the ant? Or would he be trapped by an elephant which comes in front of him? Would he be scared or not scared? So what is it that makes you a wise person than the other? So one might have to think about this. So
Okay.
Remember the story about the scorpion and the sadhu? The scorpion was stinging and he was taking it away, and he said the stinging was the character of the scorpion, and taking it away was the character of the sadhu or jnani. I don't know what we will call him.
right. But to reach that state, what are we doing? How are we? Suppose a scorpion stings and person dies. So so where is the question of being Brahman there? So we have to understand in Brahman nothing happens. So the Brahman, the very word Brahman means, even today I was reading, the very definition of Brahman is a dynamic expansion of God. So what is the dynamic expansion is he is in all the forms, whether in the ant or the elephant, he is the form. So the ant does not realize, neither does the elephant realize. What is the difference between animal kingdom and human beings is there is a linear growth in the human beings, not in the horizontal thing where the ant cannot think, oh, God is in me, I am Brahman. So neither does the elephant. So the swabhava, the quality of an ant the survival instinct in there in the animals as well as the animal kingdom and the human kingdom. What is the difference between, Swami says, is we have to grow up seeing the inner thing, not being the world is. You can improve upon the things that you cannot improve upon the world environmental factors because it's in a constant flux. You just ignore it and say that that is not the substratum. You are the substratum because you are the subject of the whole thought. That is where you make a difference. The objectless awareness is the place where you have to, awareness only. Awareness has to be that you are Brahman. Once you know that you are the all pervasive element, you are there in the ant, you yourself see yourself in the ant and the elephant and the thing. But that doesn't mean that you go and stand in front of the elephant, it won't do you harm. So the understanding is every being in creation behaves swabhavam, and the dharma of a human is Sachit Ananda. You are existing. No death comes to the whatever. You might exist as a tree, plant, seed, animal, according to the karma theory. And then consciousness. Everybody is conscious. You, me, and everybody is conscious. You are not the ant. You are not the elephant. You are the human being, and I am Vaidehi, and you are in the names and forms. If you take off my name as Vaidehi, and if you take off your name as Shweta, everything exists in a subtle way, which doesn't, fire cannot burn for itself. So wind does not, nobody can do away with the wind. So one has to think about this.
Okay.
Sai Ram, my understanding, I am not very well knowledge, but to get to the Brahman state or to get to the Jnani state, we have to control the mind. That is the first stage. And like Swami says, if you turn the key to the left, then you get the senses take control. If you turn the key to the right, then you are more controlled by the intellect and then eventually to Atman. And to be more sattvic and to control our senses, then we get closer to the Brahman state. Sairam.
Yeah. Okay.
This is
So,
Patel. Can I say
yeah,
something?
sure. Please go ahead.
The easiest way I understand is mind cannot be controlled. It's very difficult for normal human being. It's impossible to control.
Exactly.
So like mind is like a monkey. So what you have, in order for you to control it, use it only when absolutely essential to do worldly thing, but keep focus on Lord. So if like a mind is like if you consider mind as a individual looking at the Lord all the time, then the whole world will be like a shadow. Your shadow will be behind you. But if you look at the world, you'll be chasing the shadow, which will be not real, and you'll be confused. The other way to do it is put mind on the pole of Lord's name, Namasmarana. Keep mind chanting the name of Lord all the time, and the pole like a monkey going up and down. When you need it, just ask for help to do the worldly thing. But otherwise, try to focus it on Lord's name, and that's the only way to control mind. Otherwise, mind cannot be controlled.
Okay. Okay. So basically, through discipline is that by chanting his name or bhajans or meditation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if anybody.
I have a question. I have a question for Dr. Patel. Doctor, if you say mind cannot be controlled, then how are you going to get the mind to do namasmarana? You know, like even while chanting, like for example, Sahasranam, my mind goes here and there. So, yeah, go ahead, doctor. Yeah.
So the only way is ask for Lord's help. That's what, at least in my personal experience, whenever my mind started wandering,
Mhm.
and even as you said, doing the Nam Smarana, I just said,
Mhm.
Lord, make sure that you don't forget me forever, and I don't forget you for any moment. Keep on telling him that sometimes it's beyond our control. So we have to have his grace and his mercy to be able to. We cannot even think of Lord unless he wants us to think. That's what I think. So we have to just keep on bugging him to say, please don't forget me and always keep me with you. That's what my
Yeah,
practice.
Uh,
I think that's what doctor is the final solution, is to say that, Lord, I belong to you. I am your instrument. Please guide me in the best way possible. Rather than rather than trying anything of our own, like it's best to give yourself to him and
Surrender.
asking him to take care. Yeah, exactly.
mm, yeah. Can I say something? Because one thing is, you go to the source of your being. You just always psych yourself that you are not any of this. Swami says that what the mind always is going to imply. Mind is nothing but a thought, or a mind is nothing but it is a cellular memory that creates a biological disharmony with the scenario and environment. So what you have to do is go back to the basics and say, let me, you don't want to be entangled with the body, mind or something, or call yourself, think from the head. All you have to do is don't dissect it, because if you keep on dissecting it, you will end up in more wires than you can handle. So what controlling the mind means redirecting it, like Dr. Patel said, redirecting the mind to a higher in you. Suppose I'm bothered by something, then say that the nobility of the soul will be affected if I react to it. You can respond to it, because everybody has to give a response. Somebody asks you a question, you have to respond, but not react to it. And then go to your inner source from the heart, and not to the head, which will give you hundreds of things that you can tell. It is easy to be your own self, rather than creating out of your mind different answers that you are going to give the person that is in the changing world. So you cannot control a known variable. Even if you understand that, it is very difficult to control the known variable, because the world is only a variables, variables of the eternal principle. That's all. Names and forms are, when you go to the names and forms, just think, what did I come with? I didn't have a name before I came into this world. I was consciousness. Everybody is consciousness. But when I come into the world as a body, mind, medium, then I get a name. So body is going to drown you after death. Nothing is going to, what is the body? It is only made of elements. Then the mind is nothing but a bundle of thoughts. Cellular cells are putting it as if it is an intelligent being, and you take imprints on your thoughts from the outside thing. Oh, this is good, this is bad. We make judgments or not judgments. So thought is also not going to be the answer. So come to a region where you say, oh, okay, neither the body nor the mind. I am the soul, I am the soul, I am the soul. If you keep on saying, the soul will announce itself as the light within you. You don't have to imagine things, because you already are that. So you just sit there taking away the extra things that are blocking. Suppose we go on a road, we find a thorn, you just throw it away and walk. You don't say, oh, I'll walk like this, jump like this. You don't make planning. Either you get hurt or you don't get hurt. So don't get hurt. That is the bottom thing. Is I am a happy being. I work out of happiness. I am a happy being. Sachitananda is my true nature. If you keep on psyching yourself and not give answers and find answers for every question that is thrown at you, then you get to the point. Saira.
One more thing, Vijay asked me a question. So if you look at the title of this slide, is Calm the Mind by Steady and Continuous Breathing. So continuous
Right.
discipline is while chanting the name of Lord, you try to mentally think of his like a Baba's picture for me. So it's
Mhm.
about Swami, my interaction with Swami or any incident, but think about the Swami so that it's not a mechanical chanting, but your mind will be better focused if you keep the form also in your mind at the same time when you're doing chanting of the names.
Yes, yes. I agree, doctor. Um, it's always a touch and go in the sense that you improve, but you're never at a point where um, you're completely under control. I mean, you're completely controlling the mind not to stray away from your focus.
Yeah.
That problem, I don't know. We are all improving, no doubt, through spiritual exercises, but we are not there at a point where we can confidently say that I'm constantly thinking of Baba or the Lord. That
Um,
we are subject to the straying away of the mind from our focus.
yeah. Can I add one more sentence? What you have, you cannot be. Means I cannot be a doctor and surgeon and thing of the world at the same time. But what you have, you are already existence, consciousness, and bliss. Concentrate on that, and then what you don't have, you are seeking from the world. You don't. You have everything. Unless you are conscious, you cannot be conscious of your bad or your right or the wrong in you. So you are already consciousness, and then slowly you build up on that you no man's zone, you have to be there. So and then objectless awareness is consciousness. You are not aware of any object, joining this, joining that, Mercedes Benz car, this, that. The things of the object of the world cannot give you happiness. That is what I am, a happy being. That is why I'm giving this thing. But it's a little temporary happiness you get out of this world thing. We don't want to come back. We want permanent happiness. Means you are that. Just throw away the extra things that are not needed there.
Yeah, yeah, but I am not sure that I'll be able to convince a hungry man that you are already happy.
Um,
The
if somebody wants to answer that, but I do have an answer. The first instinct, the biological instinct, that is the first survival instinct. But even animals are survive. There is a higher agency sitting there, and everybody has a survival instinct. The second is psychological instinct, needs of emotions, love, hate, and all those jeopardize our mind. So the first biological instinct, nobody is eating. Who does take in the pizza and give you red blood corpuscles and white blood corpuscles? All things are happening without knowing also. So biological needs, no hungry man is hungry. Gandhiji says, there is in creation, God has not created anybody hungry. There is no place for greed, but there is always all needs are fulfilled. If your needs are fulfilled by little bit eating of the stomach, the more you eat, and then you add up to your disease. So we add up because we don't put a stopping, like sealing on desires we don't do. So we end up eating more and having a stomachache. It is not that nobody is getting food. Even the poor man has got a two-way meal coming. It is not in God did not create this world in a bad way. So one has to understand that we are doing charity and all that only to understand that the whole of the universe is one unitive dimension. To realize the unitive dimension of our personality, we do that. It is not that by our giving food for one day or giving clothing for one day, people are saved from in life. So that the cloth might tear or the food might be digested. So what do we do the next day? Are we giving every day service, going and doing service? No. Biological needs are catered by God. The second level is the psychological needs. are the one that sets your mind into unrest and dissatisfied being. And the last is the spirit is already cased inside. It is a happy being. We don't want to be happy because we think I'll acquire this, I'll be happy. If I acquire this, I'll be happy. So that is where there is nobody saying that you cannot enjoy things in life. Enjoy to the thing and be contented in life. Otherwise, there is no way anybody can work, So I think you have to draw on your inner strength. Like, that is all it is. Avoid too much of anything. Middle way is the best way.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just going to move on to this slide. Calm the mind, as we talked about. Calm the mind by steady, continuous discipline. The mind pursues only exterior objects either because of the pull of the senses or because of the delusion caused by the characteristics of permanence, etc., on the external world. And so the mind has to be brought back to travel to the correct goal again and again. At first, it might seem hard, but by proper training, all the agitations can be calmed by the prayerful repetition of Om. The training consists of controlling the mind by good counsel, superior attractions, withdrawal from sensory objects, ability to bear the ups and downs of fortune, steadfastness or faith, and poise or equanimity. If at first the mind is shown the sweetness of devotional singing or bhajan, the efficacy of prayer, and the calming effects of meditation, then it can be slowly turned towards meditation of Brahman. It must also be led on by the cultivation of good habits, good company, and good deeds. Meditation will, as it proceeds, further and further give rise to greater and greater keenness. And thus the mind has to be caged in the cave of the heart, and the final result of this discipline is no less than undisturbed, undifferentiated equanimity. This knowledge of Brahman itself, the wisdom that grants release or moksha. The discipline for this consists of 3 exercises: the giving up of craving, the elimination of mind, and the understanding of reality. These 3 have to be cultivated uniformly with equal ardor. Otherwise, success cannot be ensured, and one of them is enough. The instincts and impulses are too strong to yield easily, and they make the senses active and greedy and bind the person tighter and tighter. And so that the mind won't achieve mastery, attention has to be paid to the subjugation of the senses and the promptings behind them. The relentless pursuit of reason and discrimination. When the mind is one, the dawn of wisdom is heralded. The aspirant has to be ever vigilant, for the senses might recoil any moment, especially when he mixes with the world and the worldly. The basic truth must be kept constantly before the mind's eye. Wants should not be multiplied. Time shouldn't be frittered away, not even a minute. The craving for one pleasant thing will give rise to another craving for a still more pleasant thing. Cut at the very root of desire itself and become a master of yourself. The renouncing of desire will take you fast to the pinnacle of spiritual wisdom. Liberated people will be unaffected by joy or sorrow. For how can events produce reactions in them who have wiped out their minds? It is the mind that makes one feel. When one has taken a drug that deadens the consciousness, one feels no pain or even joy, for the body is separated from the mind. And so, when it dawns, spiritual wisdom separates the mind and keeps it aloof from all contact. By special discipline, the turbulence of the mind can be calmed. And as a result of this, it becomes possible to taste the bliss of Atma, free from its pulls. The mind attracts people outward and offers only an external objective joy. But wise ones know that these joys are fleeting. The Atma itself is enough for them to fulfill all their desires for happiness, complete and permanent. And so they will have no need for the external world. Just before moving on to the concluding part, does anyone have anything to say?
Sairam, can I add in?
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
So the question was, how do you discriminate between an elephant and an ant,
Yes.
and the knowledge of Brahman and so forth?
Yes.
The person who is unburdened, with the practice of the threefold path that you just mentioned,
Yes. Yes.
this unburdened person is called the Jivan Mukta.
Yeah.
And they will still continue to perform their worldly duties, and they will be totally aware that the divine is utterly beyond anything of the natural world.
Right.
But they will watch they will watch life progress in total peace. That doesn't mean that they would not exercise discrimination, in their conduct in worldly affairs. Until they are unburdened and become Jivan Muktas, they are definitely expected to build their power of their mind through meditation, or sharpen their intellect through good company and reading, perform selfless service, or be in the company of really good people. I think the other path, as Patel uncle was mentioning, the bhakti yoga, the single-minded love for God really has to happen, until you actually reach that state of divine love. So the Jivan Mukta is still detached and is aware of the reality, but they are still using their discrimination in their day-to-day affairs. Sairam.
Sairam, thank you so much for that. Anyone else has any thoughts to share?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm Maitri. Yeah, just like what Mohan said and Dr. Patel said, I saw an article by Swami, know thyself, then you will know everything. This was from New Year's Day, January 2009. So like just about prayers, Swami said, all these sadhanas are meant to control the mind. The mind is very unsteady. It is always affected by bumps and jumps. How then can you control such an unsteady mind? It is not possible. This mind can be controlled in only one way, by constant contemplation on God. So I just wanted to read that. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, what yogi would do is they will do only those deeds that shapes up your human consciousness, or they will give a weightage to the they'll increase the value of your value oriented approach to life. They and there will be not be motives for doing this way to manipulate things, and they'll bring the higher noble qualities in them, like not telling lies, doing the right, they'll take right actions. And as you do that, the namasmarana, why namasmarana does is, the moment I say fire, everybody will run, right? The first word that came from is Shabda Brahman is Om. So Om brings in nearer, the words invoke a certain nobility to the whole picture. It does its work. Like, the moment you say, I'm going on a road, you're giving me a name, Vaidehi, and when you know me as this thing, you call it for practical transactional purposes, name and forms are good. But there can be 4 Vaidehis, and which Vaidehi you called, you only know by the association, or me coming to the Sai center, and another Vaidehi might be there who is not a Sai devotee. So the name pulls in, because you are associated with that name, all 4 Vaidehis will turn their head. But you are doing the transaction in life with only the person which whom you are wanting a satsang with. So all the activities are going on, but you don't get attached too much to the results of it. Saira.
Sairam. So I just want to conclude by a summary of a discourse that Swami had given, where he had compared the human body to a chariot or a vehicle. So what he says is that the body is like a chariot. We have to protect it to the extent necessary and keep our eye on the ultimate goal. We must consider our human body as a chariot and no more than that. We must make sure that the various components of this chariot do not come to any harm or face any difficulties, and that is all. All other efforts must relate only to the principle of Brahman, and we must use this chariot to return to the principle of Brahman from which we have started the journey of our life. So, how Swami compares our human life with a chariot is the owner is the Atma, the chariot itself is the body, the horses riding the chariot are the senses, the mind is the rein, and the buddhi is the charioteer. And today we are driving the vehicle of our bodies in wrong paths. We are driving the vehicle onto crooked paths and are thus facing many difficulties, damaging many of the spare parts of this vehicle in this process. Nearly 80% of human beings are spoiling and damaging their vehicles in this manner. From the balanced 20%, close to 15% of the human beings are treating their vehicles like cars in a showroom. They are decorating them very well, eating all the time, not realizing the true goal of life, and are getting totally drowned in the darkness of this worldly life, leading a life and enjoying happiness worse than animals. Having got this vehicle of the human body that is meant to be used for travel, if we do not put this vehicle into any use for the purpose of traveling or for helping others to travel, then we may as well regard this vehicle as a mere mass of metal. Our body is like a vehicle, and if we drive it into undesirable areas, we will get into difficulty. Just because we can sit in the car and take the vehicle wherever we want, if we drive the vehicle onto roads that are not good, we would have to face many difficulties. That is to say, if we drive the car into places where there are no roads or onto hills or onto rivers, that we would have to undergo many tribulations and losses. And in the same manner, if we take this human body into places where it should not be taken, where it is forbidden to go, then we would have to face a lot of criticism, abuse, difficulties, and losses. So just as when the car gets stuck up in slush, we would need the help of so many people to lift that car out. And so when this car of the human body enters into the world and gets stuck up in the mud of samsara of worldly life, we would need the help of satsang, company of noble souls, and the advice of elders to help us come out of this fix. As we are giving too much importance to this human body, which is of no great use, we are not able to understand our state, our destination, and our sacredness. The skin of a dead animal may be used for so many purposes, but the body of a dead human being can be put to no use. Youth must understand that it is against the duty of mankind to be so obsessed with the insignificant human body as to forget what is truly sacred and what the true goal of our life is. So, Swami is not saying that you must completely ignore the human body or not take care of its upkeep or ignore its health. We have so many vehicles, cycle, scooter, motorcycle, car, bus, or even a bullock cart. We need to regularly keep them clean, fill oil or petrol, and make sure that they are in proper condition. This forms part of one's duty. In the same manner, our human body is like a chariot. Just as we take care of a cycle or a car by wiping it, filling oil and petrol, and maintaining it in a good condition, in the same manner, for this human body that has been given to us to make the journey of life, we need to clean it from time to time, offer it food that is required, and keep it in proper condition. This is of the most importance. Getting our very life, if we keep decorating our body, filling it with petrol, and keeping on polishing it all the time, then what is the use of having such a vehicle? And therefore, as we have donned this vehicle of the human body, we must see to it that there is no harm to this body, there is no obstacle to our journey, that we reach our goal safely. To this extent, we must take care of our human body. Beyond that, we must always keep our focus on the goal, on our destination, and travel along the journey of our life in this world. And this is the supreme path. You do not need to be careless in taking care of the health of your body and keeping it strong and capable. But you must consider the truth that this human body has been given to bring victory to dharma in this country. Thus, you must engage in dharmic actions, fulfill the command of elders, and uphold the Bharatiya culture as its custodian. You must keep your body strong and fit and your mind sacred for the establishment of dharma in the future and for upholding the sacred culture. So this is just, I feel like, this message that Swami had given, it beautifully summarizes the concept behind the topic for this study session. And I know that this is the last week that we will be discussing about this topic, but I know, and not all of it can be covered in 6 sessions, but Aishwarya and I, we both tried our best to do so. So thank you so much for bearing with us and shedding some light into all these topics. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you and Jai Sairam, sisters Akshaya and Aishwarya, for diving deep into the topic of know thyself, then you will know everything for the past 6 weeks. We will now have individual bhajan singing. Saira.
प्रेम से गावो पावन राम,
प्रेम से गावो पावन राम,
प्रेम से गावो पावन राम,
प्रेम से गावो पावन
राम राम रघुनंदन रामा,
राम राम रघुनंदन रामा,
राम राम रघुनंदन रामा,
राम राम रघुनंदन रामा,
प्रेम से गावो पावन राम,
प्रेम से गावो पावन राम,
जय जय रामा जय रघुरामा,
जय जय राम जय रघुरामा,
जय जय रामा जय रघुरामा,
जय जय राम जय रघुरामा,
जय साई रामा जय सत्यनामा,
जय साई राम जय सत्यनामा,
जय साई रामा जय सत्यनामा,
जय साई राम जय सत्यनामा,
प्रेम से गावो पावन राम,
प्रेम से गावो पावन
राम राम रघुनंदन रामा,
राम राम रघुनंदन
से गावो पावन राम
प्रेम से गाओ पावन नाम।
जय जय रामा जय रघुरामा
जय जय रामा जय रघुरामा।
जय जय रामा जय रघुरामा
जय जय रामा जय रघुरामा।
जय साई रामा जय सत्यनामा
जय साई रामा जय सत्यनामा।
जय साई रामा जय सत्यनामा
जय साई रामा जय सत्यनामा।
प्रेम से गावो पावन राम
राम कहो कृष्ण कहो ईश्वर अल्लाह साई कहो। 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 बुद्ध कहो गुरु नानक हो जो राष्ट्र महावीरेशु कहो। बुद्ध कहो गुरु नानक हो जो राष्ट्र महावीरेशु कहो। बुद्ध कहो गुरु नानक हो जो राष्ट्र महावीरेशु कहो। बुद्ध कहो गुरु नानक हो जो राष्ट्र महावीरेशु कहो। राम कहो कृष्ण कहो ईश्वर अल्लाह साई कहो। राम कहो कृष्ण कहो ईश्वर अल्लाह साई कहो। युग अवतार तुम हो विश्व शक्ति तुम हो। युग अवतार तुम हो विश्व शक्ति तुम हो। युग अवतार तुम हो विश्व शक्ति तुम हो। Sai Rama, your eyes, I am caught in your eyes, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, your eyes, I am caught in your eyes, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, your eyes, I am caught in your eyes, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, your eyes, I am caught in your eyes, Sai Rama. My wants and desires, they have met their demise. I am lost in your eyes, Sai Rama. My wants and desires, they have met their demise. I am lost in your eyes, Sai Rama. My wants and desires, they have met their demise. I am lost in your eyes, Sai Rama. My wants and desires, they have met their demise. I am lost in your eyes, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, your gaze, I am dancing away, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, your gaze, I am dancing away, Sai Rama. Oh, Sai Rama, your gaze, I am dancing away, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, your gaze, I am dancing away, Sai Rama. In a world of disguise and Maya, I'm soaring the skies in your ananda. World of disguise and Maya, I'm soaring the skies in your ananda. In a world of disguise and Maya, I'm soaring the skies in your ananda. In a world of disguise and Maya, I am soaring the skies in your ananda. Gently falling back in your arms, I'm entranced by your eyes, Sai Rama. Gently falling back in your arms, I'm entranced by your eyes, Sai Rama. Oh, gently falling back in your arms, I'm entranced by your eyes, Sai Rama. Gently falling back in your arms, I'm entranced by your eyes, Sai Rama. I am lost in 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 your eyes, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, your eyes, I am caught in your eyes, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, your eyes, I am caught in your eyes, Sai Rama. My wants and desires, they have met their demise. I am lost in your eyes, Sai Rama. My wants and desires, they have met their demise. I am lost in your eyes, Sai Rama. Oh, Sai Rama, your gaze, I am dancing away, Sai Rama. Sai Rama, your gaze, I am dancing away, Sai Rama. In a world of disguise and Maya, I'm soaring the skies in your world of disguise and Maya, I'm soaring the skies in your ananda. Gently falling back in your arms, I'm entranced by your eyes, Sai Rama. Gently falling back in your arms, I'm entranced by your eyes, Sai Rama. I'm lost in your eyes, Sai Rama. I'm lost in your eyes, Sai Rama. Sai Ram, 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 Sai Rama, 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 Sai Ram, Sai Rama, 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 Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Your eyes, I am caught in your eyes, Sai Ram. Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Shanmukanatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Shanmukanatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Shanmukanatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Shanmukanatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Sainatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Sainatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Sainatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Sainatha, Subramanyam,
Shiv, 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 Subramanyam, Hara, Subramanyam,
Shiva, 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 Subramanyam, Hara, 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 Subramanyam,
Shiv, 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 Subramanyam, Hara, Hara, Subramanyam,
Shiva, 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 Subramanyam, Hara, 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 Subramanyam,
Shiv, Shiv, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Shiv, Subramanyam,
Shiva, Shiva, Hara, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Hara, Shiva, Shiva, Subramanyam,
Shiv, Shiv, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Shiv, Subramanyam,
Shiva, Shiva, Hara, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Hara, Shiva, Shiva, Subramanyam,
Shiv, Saravana, Subramanyam, Guru Saravana, Subramanyam,
Shiva, Sharavana, Bhava, Subramanyam, Guru Sharavana, Bhava, Subramanyam,
Shiv, Saravana, Subramanyam, Guru Saravana, Subramanyam,
Shiva, Sharavana, Bhava, Subramanyam, Guru Sharavana, Bhava, Subramanyam,
Shiv, Shiv, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Shiv, Subramanyam,
Shiva, Shiva, Hara, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Hara, Shiva, Shiva, Subramanyam,
Shiv, Shiv, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Shiv, Subramanyam,
Shiva, Shiva, Hara, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Hara, Shiva, Shiva, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Shanmukanatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Shanmukanatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Sainatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Sainatha, Subramanyam,
Shiv, 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 Subramanyam, Hara, Subramanyam,
Shiva, 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 Subramanyam, Hara, 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 Subramanyam,
Shiv, Shiv, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Shiv, Subramanyam,
Shiva, Shiva, Hara, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Hara, Shiva, Shiva, Subramanyam,
Shiv, Saravana, Subramanyam, Guru Saravana, Subramanyam,
Shiva, Sharavana, Bhava, Subramanyam, Guru Sharavana, Bhava, Subramanyam,
Shiv, Shiv, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Shiv, Subramanyam,
Shiva, Shiva, Hara, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Hara, Shiva, Shiva, Subramanyam,
Shiv, Shiv, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Shiv, Subramanyam,
Shiva, Shiva, Hara, Hara, Subramanyam, Hara, Hara, Shiva, Shiva, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Shanmukanatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Shanmukanatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Shanmukanatha, Subramanyam,
Subramanyam, Subramanyam, Shanmukanatha, Subramanyam, 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 Sainatha, Subramanyam. Om Tat Sat Shri Narayana Purushottama Gurutu Siddhabhutato Sanda Vinayaka Savita Pavakato Savita Pavakato Brahmamashchato Yava Shakti
प्रचोदयात् भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो न प्रचोदयात् पश्येन्महो परिचयमस्ति पुष्टोऽस्ति पुष्टोऽभवत् ह्यदृशोय प्रविष्टाय तस्मात् भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्य बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि संघं शरणं गच्छामि Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Adonai Echad Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. 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 La ilaha illallah, Allah Allah. La ilaha illallah, Allah Allah. La ilaha illallah, Allah Saishwaraya Vimnahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat Saishwaraya Vimnahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat Saishwaraya Vimnahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat.
Sit in a comfortable position and keep your back straight. Gently close your eyes. Keep your mind and body calm and relaxed. Breathe in and out slowly. As you breathe in, say so. And as you breathe out, say hum. So, hum. So, hum. So, hum. Open your eyes. Look at the light steadily for a while. Now close your eyes. Picture and feel a light between your eyebrows at the center of your forehead. Your head is filled with the light. All your thoughts are filled with the light. May they be good thoughts. Bring the light down to your heart. Imagine that in the center of your heart there is a beautiful lotus. As the light enters the heart, the petals of the lotus open out one by one, bathing every thought, feeling, and emotion in the light. As the light spreads, bring it down to your hands. Let your hands be filled with the light. May these hands serve others with love and compassion. Bring the light down further through your body down to your legs and feet. Your feet are filled with the light. May these feet bring you only to good places to do good deeds. The light slowly rises up your throat and comes to rest on your tongue. May your tongue always speak only the truth. May your tongue always speak softly, sweetly, and lovingly to everyone. Bring the light to your ears. Your ears are filled with the light. May your ears hear only what is good and useful. May your ears listen to others with love and compassion. Bring the light to your eyes, so your eyes are filled with the light. May your eyes see only good things and the beauty in everything. May your eyes see the good in others. Bring the light to the top of your head. Let the light shine all around you in bigger and bigger circles. Radiate this light to all the people you love and know, to your family, friends, and even those who may have hurt you. Fill all the plants and animals with the light. Fill the whole world with the light. Repeat to yourself, I am in the light. The light is in me. I am the light. bring the light back to the top of your head and bring it down to your heart. Keep the light and that feeling of peace within you throughout the day. When you are ready, gently open your eyes.
Brahman truth, lead us to truth. From darkness, lead us to light. From death, lead us to immortality. Asatoma, Satgamaya, Tamasoma, Jyotirgamaya, Mrityunjaya, Amritam Gamaya.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Thought for the day. Remember in what spirit Hanuman the monkey served Sri Rama. Hanuman has been described as tranquil, virtuous, and strong. Such a person, when he was on a tree in the Ashokavana in Lanka, was questioned by the Rakshasas, demons, as to who he was and where from he had come. Hanuman replied, Dasoham Kausalendrasya. I am the servant of Sri Rama, the son of Kausalya. He did not boast about his valor or knowledge. He was content to describe himself as the humble and devoted servant of Rama. Bear in mind the maxim, without being a kinkara, one who is ready to carry out the Lord's command, you cannot become Shankara, divine. You have to transform your life through service. You should give no room for arrogance or self-interest to the slightest extent in your service activities. Install in your heart the feeling that the service you render to anyone is service to God. Only then does service to man become service to Madhava, God. Divine Discourse, March 23rd, 1989. Baba.
Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Swami Satyasai Hare, Bhakta Jana Sangrashaka, Bhakta Jana Sangrashaka, Pati Maheshwara, Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Shashivardhana Shekara, Sarva Pranapate, Swami Sarva Pranapate, Ashita Kalpalatika, Ashita Kalpalatika, Abadnandava, Om Jai Jagadish Hare, Mata Pita Guru Devam Paryantayo Ire, Satyarayana Narayana Om Satyarayana Narayana Om Jai Sadgurudeva Shanti 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 Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu Peace, 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 peace on peace, peace, peace for all the universe, for all the universe. Paramam pavitram Baba vibhutim Paramam vichitram Leela vibhutim Paramartha yashatha moksha pradhanam Baba vibhutim idamashayami Sacred ash miraculous Baba's creation, flowing from His blessed hand, holy creation, granting us with greatest wealth God's divine protection. Beloved Baba, grant us liberation. Sai Baba Vibhutim Idama